an icon, an institution, a stakeholder of talented proportions.
Wow.
We'll talk Fluvanna County. In fact, we'll talk housing in Central Virginia, like all trends here in Central Virginia.
Can we just pause for an applause for Moselle?
Yeah. You know what? I can do it for her.
He's got it right there.
Oh, thank you.
There we go. Moselle
Thank
Booker
you.
in the house.
Thank
Current
you.
chair of the Fluvanna Board of Supervisors.
Yes, yes.
You know, we could
I have
follow
to
you
keep-
around all day and do this if you like. We're going to have some
Yeah.
fun. When Fairchild's in the house, we always have fun, do we not, Keith?
Yeah. I'm just going to leave it alone. I promised Yona I'd behave today.
I think Judah may have a photo to show from the Christmas party on screen.
Yes.
We will get to that eventually. All right, Judah, we can start the program when you're ready, sir.
I had been drinking. Sorry.
At 10 o'clock in the
We all
morning.
were. We
At
all
10
were.
o'clock. Santa was
Red
not.
yes.
Santa was very sober.
Yeah, we all were. No, Santa was not. Santa definitely was not.
No, I was not.
Someone spiked Santa's eggnog.
It might have been Keith Smith.
He's gonna count us in. Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. A pleasure to connect with you through the I Love Seville network, where every social media platform known to mankind is airing this show right now. Central Virginia is our audience. Last year, we reached just over 253,000 people through this network, and it's because of content like Real Talk with Keith Smith. Today's show is no exception. We'll go to the studio camera, and Keith has welcomed two fantastic panelists to the show.
Maybe one.
Moselle.
Maybe one. One fantastic, another no.
We love Chris
We
Fairchild.
love Chris Fairchild.
He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's a lot of
I
fun.
hear you say that every time, every
No, I
show
really
I watch.
don't. Most of the time I'm lying. This time I'm telling the truth. This time I'm telling the truth.
Okay, guys, let's get back on track. So this is exciting. Thank you, Moselle. We've known each other for, decades, and the fact that you've agreed to sit down and talk to us is heartwarming, and I'm extremely thankful. But why don't we kick it off a little bit? For the few people in the world who do not know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and what your current position is, and we'll kick it off from there.
How much time do I have?
As much as you want.
So here you go, Moselle. There's,
Okay.
like I said, there's
No
only,
rules.
There's no, well, there's
Okay.
three rules,
All
but
right. I'm not going to take a lot of time.
It's the most,
I am a Fluvannian, born and raised in Fluvanna County, and left there after finishing high school and went to Virginia Union University. And I'm going to tell you the years so that you can see my years of experience being here on this earth. I graduated from high school in 1959, went to Virginia Union, married a hometown gentleman who was in the Air Force, and after that I taught in Washington, D.C. for a while, moved on to Germany, and we went to Germany, and I ended up teaching in a special needs school where at that time the Air Force did not have a place for special needs kids in the school, so a lady had organized a school on the base, and I ended up taking over as the administrator of that base then in 69, and I had a son in Germany. I already had a daughter. Came back to the United States, worked in California for about a year or two, and then went to Japan for 4 years. Came back from Japan, and I came home. My husband went to Korea, and I didn't want to go to Korea. I had lost my father, and I wanted to come home and stay with my mother. I had a contract from Fluvanna County School System mailed to me in Japan, and so I went to work at Central Elementary, and I taught 4th grade, 5th grade, and then I taught all gifted and talented kids.
I was going to say, did you teach
On
Chris? And
no, I
then you
didn't.
said gifted.
Yeah.
So Moselle, I need to
yeah.
just do me a small favor. Can you just slide a little bit in front of the microphone?
Okay,
So folks
this way. All right.
folks can hear what you're saying.
And I taught at Central in the 4th grade, 5th grade, and then I went and taught gifted and talented children from, they went into the program at 2nd grade to the 6th grade, and then I was picked up to go to the University of Virginia to do an internship in administration and supervision, and I did that for a year. I had a master's degree from Michigan State from Japan. Japan sent professors over to the Air Force Base, and I took their classes, and I finished it up at UVA. Then I did an internship at Central as assistant principal. Then from there, I went into the central office, and look, I tell you, I have done everything that there is to do in the school system. I've done with special,
Other than teach him successfully.
Yeah. Only thing, I never hit the
tried.
high school. Finally, I was principal in Fluvanna of 2 schools, Fork Union and Cunningham, for a couple of years. Then Charlottesville recruited me to come and take over Jackson Via, and I refused it because I had some things I needed to finish in Fluvanna. But they came back the next year, and I did come to Charlottesville. I was at Jackson Valley for 2 years, and then the superintendent called me in and said, "Ms. Booker, we would like for you to go to Walker Upper Elementary and think about it." So I went home to my retired military husband, and I said, "I don't want to leave Jackson Valley." And the superintendent asked me to go to Walker, and I knew Walker was having tons of issues. He said, "What are you talking about? If he asks you to go, you go. There's no question."
Well, that's the military guy.
So I went to Walker, and I stayed there 9 years. I knew I was going to retire at 59, at the age of 59. So I went to Bern Moran. I retired from Bern Moran, came to Fluvanna. Fluvanna asked me to be a liaison between the family and the school, and I said, "Please, let me take a year off." Then they came back at me the next year. So I did that part-time for 10 years. That way, it really helped me to see where the community was, where the children were, what were the needs. I could travel, I could go to homes, I could visit. So I did that, and in the meantime, I ran for the Board of Supervisors. The gentleman that took my husband's place, when my husband retired, he was on the Board of Supervisors for 16 years. And then Mr. Cecil Cobb took his place, and then when he came off, I went on. This is my 16th year on the Board of Supervisors.
That's awesome. So 4 terms.
It's my last
So
term.
how many years total was a Booker on the board?
32 years.
32 straight or 32 in totality?
No, there was a 12-year break.
Okay.
Yeah. It was 32 years.
So
And
there
we were
was-
the only African Americans ever. My husband was the first African American ever elected in Fluvanna County.
There you go.
That's
So-
awesome.
And I think, I've never thought about this. Are you all the only married couple that served on the board?
You know, I think so. I think we've had grandfathers and brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
I've never thought about that.
That's a great trivia question for Central Virginia. Name the
Yeah.
only married couple elected on any board in Central Virginia.
Well, in Fluvanna, at least. I don't know if
I
it's-
can't think of any in
It
Central
might be
Virginia.
true
can you?
otherwise.
No, and I kind of dabble in this world, and I'm sure Neil Williamson is
Yeah.
watching, and Neil
You'll let us know.
is purveyor of this information.
That'd be a cool
Yeah.
fact.
And, and right now, I know that it is time for me to venture off. And because of so many new things and things that's going on, I just don't have the time or the will or the desire.
Well, maybe it's
to-
time for you to actually retire, because
Yes.
I know you well enough to
Right.
know, because we've worked together over the years. You put a ton of time and effort into it, and it's something that we talk about on the show all the time. Elected officials, really have to put in, a good 30, 40 hours a
Yes.
week to do their job right.
Is that how many you're putting in? Chris?
Yes, and I just said to somebody yesterday, it's literally true. You could put 5 to 10 hours in a week, or you could put 60 in, and there would be no lack of things to do if you're putting in 60
But I mean, to do
Yeah.
the job effectively,
Right.
you've got to really, in my opinion, it's got to be that 20, 30
Yeah.
minimum, I would think. And that's not counting your board times you guys do, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Right?
reading board packets. And I think with Chris being here, born here, lived here, and I did too, but I left. So there's a generation kind of a gap for me. When I left a lot of families, and when I came back, I knew maybe last names, but I didn't have the same relationship.
So we've
Chris
got.
has had a lot, and so you're going to have people approach him, which is a good thing, that can talk to him because they know, that he knows what he's
So
been involved in.
If I can just add that, I
Yeah,
know you're
sure.
going to speak. Like I had lunch yesterday with somebody who's not even in my district, they're actually in your district, but used to be in Cunningham before
Right.
the redistricting. And he's a farmer, and he had questions about taxes and so on. And so we had lunch, and through that I learned, certain questions about penalties and back taxes, blah, blah, blah. And so, I love
Yeah.
that stuff.
And I don't know where I was yesterday, and all of a sudden, I looked at the fields in the Falk unit. We have some beautiful cows. Have you seen those over in Cares Brook? All up through, it's one, and I live in the area where Tapscott has his property. And his fields, when he plants his corn and his soybeans and things like that, it's simple, it's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
So we're trying to introduce a new thing on the show called a Zingo meter, the zingers that we do, and you guys went on too long. I was trying to get in there that, when you said that Chris never left Fluvanna County, that's assuming he was there to start with, right?
Yeah, you mean
Yeah.
mentally.
And-
Mentally is what I
right.
was talking
And-
about.
yeah.
I just, so we're doing on Fridays elected roundtables, right? So today is my home county, Fluvanna, and generally we've been kind of kicking off talking about what everybody talks about this time of the year, which is budget season, right? So we went through the tax reassessment on it. We can kind of tackle that a little bit, but guys, chime in. Where are we at with the budget process? People are really concerned. I have parents, I have clients of ours that are concerned that their taxes are going to go through the roof, and not so much rate, but actual dollar amount. So, let's have the tough conversation. What's the budget season looking like? And you guys kick it off however you want to take it.
If I can digress 1 second, and it's the ADHD, but Moselle and I, talking about me leaving the county, when I was 13, Moselle was one of the chaperones on a trip to Korea, South Korea.
Did you go to South Korea?
That choir trip.
Yeah,
we were a song and
2
dance
weeks.
group, and we went there for
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Now you
Yeah.
now.
I saw this coming.
Hey,
Yeah.
Chris brought that up. Now you see the generation gap.
Well, I
I'm a
just can't
tra-
get past him
Yeah.
dancing in my
I'm
head.
Right. I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah.
And you a baby boomer, right?
I don't
Are
even
you
know.
a baby? I think you are.
I don't know where they put me.
Yeah.
Well, how old are you?
54.
Yeah, you're a baby.
Actually, I think
He's
you're
like
just.
right at the end of
I
it.
think you're out of it because I'm just in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I think
I'm
I'm-
just in baby boomer. So I think
Whatever came next, I think.
it's.
Oh, you're going to put it on screen? Tell us when it's on screen.
Yeah.
We're going to got a good photo of Chris Fairchild.
Yeah.
We're going to show on screen.
Yeah,
for
the problem is
Chris's
they
party.
can't see it.
I'll show Moselle. Oh, this is the generations. Okay.
Yeah.
Here it is. So when were you born, Chris? What year?
68.
68. He's Gen X.
You're Gen,
I
I
thought
thought
so.
you were Gen
He's
X.
Gen
yeah.
X.
And
Boomers
six-
go 46 to
Right.
64.
Right. And I was born in 1941, so I'm definitely.
You're silent generation. That's what it's
Oh,
called.
there ain't nothing silent about you.
That's what it's called. Look at
It
that on the
is?
graph. Yeah.
Yes.
So it goes,
Wow.
boomers start at 46, 1946.
Right.
And then we have a father that's watching a screen here who's been in Charlottesville since for 60 years. He says he remembers you from your time at Walker when
Yes.
his kids were there.
Oh, wow.
Multiple parents have put on the feed, they remember you from Walker.
Wonderful.
Hard to forget.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's good to know.
You got a great
I
reputation in this community.
loved Walker Up Elementary. And now I sit on boards with my students, and they still think I'm their principal.
Really? How does that go? Tell us about that.
Yeah, they just kind of.
Well, she carries a heavy gavel. Let's just say that.
What do you think of public schools today?
Oh, you want to talk to me?
Sure.
Yeah, you're the
please.
expert.
There's a lot of turmoil, and I have a daughter who started teaching here at Greenbrier for 11 years from JMU. and got married and went to Williamsburg, retired after 36 years. Last year, taught kindergarten for 35 years, ran for the school board in Williamsburg. So she's on the school board at Williamsburg.
That's awesome.
So everywhere, when I also meet with the high school principal. I'm the education chair for the NAACP, and we support the schools and to work with families to try to get messages out on things that's going on. And we met with them last week. There's a lot of unrest in the school system since the COVID. There are a lot of behavioral issues. Kids, especially at the high school, is vaping in the bathroom. I think it's a big issue, not only in Fluvanna, but everywhere.
Yeah.
So we've got to really put a great deal of effort, and we need more and more staff. Right now, we need behavioral specialists in schools with kids as young as kindergarten. So schools have got to re-evaluate and go about things differently than when I came along. Yeah, we had problems and so forth, but I could take a child home. I could go into the home. I could talk to the parent. They could work with me. And now, sometimes that doesn't happen because parents have so many other things on their plate.
But that skill and talent that you just talked about, and Chris, jump in here, you brought that to the board, right? This is, by the way, your second rodeo as a chairperson, right?
Yes.
You were a chairperson prior to.
2 years.
And maybe the first female African American in this, I don't, maybe not in the state, but definitely in Fluvanna County, for sure, on that end of it. So you know, let's rally back to the budget, and let's rally back, because this is your board, right?
Yes.
You know, where are we at with the process, and what kind of leadership skills that you just outlined are you bringing to help our county move through the next steps?
Yeah, I am an educator. And the school board brought their budget to us on Wednesday. And it's a big ask. And it...
what kind of increase year over year?
well, last year, we financed the total budget, which was $1 million something. I can't tell you exact. They're asking 2.6 million.
So 8 cents, basically.
Basically 8
That's
cents.
a lot.
It's a lot.
Yes, and
8 cents based on the old,
Yeah. And-
the oldest
right.
reassessed rate, or the new one, the new volume?
All new,
Yeah,
as if we were where we were.
Right.
If we didn't reassess, they'd be adding 8 cents.
Got it. So it's the old,
Right.
it's the old value
After equalization.
yeah.
after the equalization.
And they've done a salary study, and they did it in-house. And when they looked at it, they found that we were the lowest in almost every category. So they were trying to bring salaries up, plus new positions, and I couldn't tell you everything that's in it, but it's 2.6, and it's going to be tough of how we're going to get it down to reasonable. I can't see us funding 2.6 unless somebody just comes in here and drops us big millions of dollars.
In addition to that, we're funding for the first time in-house EMS in Fluvanna County.
So talk about that for a second. So we're actually hiring paid EMS. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, you know, for years it was just volunteer, and then we were paying a contractor to give a percentage of the coverage. And then in December, the board voted that at the end of the term of that contract, or let's say by the end of the term of that contract, we'll have paid EMS staff in Fluvanna County. And on top of that, there are it is in the works and could be somewhat at a similar time coming on that of bringing on paid fire. But, you know, just like we're all struggling to get employees, they're struggling to get volunteers. And it just comes down to a point where, you know, government, in my mind, has one responsibility first and foremost, and that's public safety. And so You know, we're
But
going
it sounds like it's going to be hard to equalize this year.
It will not be
We're not.
equalized this year.
Yeah.
That I can see. It's going to take a whole lot of cutting in other places, yeah.
To equalize, so the folks who are watching that may not know or understand the term equalization, somebody jump in and say, what does that actually mean? What does that mean to me as a Fluvanna citizen? Equalization to my
Yeah.
tax that I pay.
Yeah, well, we did a reassessment, and you get your reassessment, and people's reassessment went up. And so if it went up 10 or 13%, and then you try to equal that out, and I think ours was, what, 77?
77 point something.
77 point something,
And we were 87
Right.
last year.
right.
So
So-
if we were to hit equalization, the amount of money I pay each year cash out would be approximately the same if we hit equalization.
Yeah.
That sound about right?
Right,
Yeah, so that-
yeah.
The concept is if the values go up, the tax rate goes down. And so they go down to a level that, not necessarily per person, but to the county's total revenue, it equalizes what the county is bringing in revenue. That's, though, just a baseline, because then the government, as we're in now, we equalize and then we could raise or lower taxes. So,
But that based on the budget though, right? Because
Right.
the budget starts
The
going
budget,
up
right.
or it goes
Or
down.
down, yeah.
And
Or
the
goes-
budget that Eric gave us was 81.
Yeah.
It
So
was
Eric
at
Dahl is the
8
county administrator?
I'm sorry, yeah, Eric Dahl. The budget that he put was 81, and the last budget season, it was 88.5, right? 87.
87.
87.
yeah.
So we're working with that, and we don't put the school budget in to the last minute. That's, if we could get the school budget, I don't know if we ever can. As long as I've been there, the school budget was always wedged in, and then at the end, we saw what we could do. I remember times when I was, in the early part, when I was supervisor, we would go to the fund balance and get $600,000 and finish the budget out. I helped the school line. I don't think we've ever done that but maybe recently.
So you're saying you would take, you have excess in the,
Yeah.
in the balance, you would use it to go do that.
Yeah.
But while we're on the schools, and I don't know the exact percentage of it, but a large percentage of the school budget is not funded by local tax dollars, is that
Right,
correct?
it's state.
It's mostly funded by the
State and a little bit from the federal, not a whole lot.
So what is your largest line item in your budget? Is it the schools?
Schools
Yes.
And then the second largest? Staff?
Yeah.
and government,
Employees, people?
I believe so.
yes.
So we get on this show quite a bit, folks are concerned, right? I'll
Yes.
paint the picture of my parents, right? You know, they're retirees, retired New York City firemen, on a fixed income based on the late 80s is when he retired on that end of it. And between taxes, the cash that they're paying going out and cost of living and all that stuff, you know, there's serious, we're blessed, there's consideration of them come and live with us because they can't afford where they're at. I mean, they're running out, they're out, you know, the conversation that we always have, I'm outliving my money, right?
Understand.
On that end of it. So how can we help folks like that in tax season wise? Excuse me,
Well,
budget
You
season.
know, we do have help for people who,
Tax relief.
tax relief.
The problem with that,
and that
Moselle, and I don't mean to
Commissioner
push back.
Revenue does that.
Yeah,
But
that-
it doesn't hit your parents.
Yes, but the thing is they have too much asset,
Mm-hmm.
right? So once you factor, I think it's $150,000. I may be wrong.
Yeah,
I may be
think
mixing
that
my
may be a little too
jurisdictions.
high, yeah.
Jurisdictions up, but their home is worth more than that, which automatically kicks them out, right?
Yes.
They're of a certain age, right? But their asset
Right.
value kicks them out, and I've often wondered why we have not either retooled that so we can help the ones that need it.
Right. Now, I think that has been changed, and the criteria was changed a little bit, and that's up to our Commissioner of Revenue to do that. And we can tell exactly how much that we are doing the rebatement for,
Got it.
how much money is into that. Economic development is the is the answer for us in order to get more tax money into the
Economic
county.
development, you mean attracting new businesses to
Yes.
drive incremental revenue?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that is.
How's the county responding to that? Do folks want that kind of development?
Well, I think what we did was we have a development in every district. In my district, Fork Union, we have an area, Kent Store, Palmyra. But the main one is Lake Monticello, you should say Zion's Crossroad.
Zion's Crossroads really
Zion's
should.
Crossroad. And so Lake Monticello the housing residential is just booming. And a lot of people are concerned.
So let's talk about that. So we've got a couple slides in front of us. Jude, if you don't mind, slide 8.
You got a lot of Fluvanna County watching right now. You also got a TV station locally, the one right down the street watching the show. You're getting props from John Blair in Stanton, the town attorney and the acting city manager in Stanton
6
watching the show right now. Eddie Shiflett has given Chris props. Eddie Shiflett said there's a lot of caring people right there on set that love Fluvanna County here.
And same about him. He's the rescue chief for Lake Monticello.
He's giving you guys love. Dusty Christian,
Hey, Dusty.
giving you love. Brittany
Back
Gray, giving you props.
There you go.
Gary Hockett has got something that he wants to talk about the county and handicap accessibility. We'll get to that, Gary.
Good.
First, Keith, the slides, my friend.
Yeah, so let's just talk about value, right? So it's on the screen, slide number 6. It's in your package. I gave it to you. But just a quick analysis of it. We're 822 value now. This is how much the median sales price. And this, I'm focusing on Lake Monticello for the moment, guys, on this slide. And the reason I do that, and I do it repetitively on the show, it's a real good litmus test. It's 4,400 homes, right? It's an easy thing for a Marine that can count to 3 to handle, right?
I'm with you.
Yeah, on it. But so Lake Monticello, the value went up 18% year over year from 21 to 22. So the median sales price in 22 was $318,000. So that you know, in 2017, the median sales price was $195,000. So in 6 years, it's jumped up $123,000 and 39% in value. That being said, if you guys take a look at slide number 5, this is the number of units sold. We actually had 2022, 22% was actually less sold over 21. So we're selling less homes, but we're selling them at a higher value. And just to add, just before you get your guys' opinion and thoughts on it, looking at what's available right now at this very moment at Lake Monticello, I take out new construction because it skews numbers. 11 homes for sale.
Oof.
Only one is below $375,000.
And what's the days on market on that one?
So the one days on market is 84. I know that particular home, I talk about it on the show all the time. There's 6 things that are required to make real estate happen: location, price, features, condition, timing, and who's on the other side matters. I know that home, it needs a little help on the features and the conditions on the end of it. But the median, so that you know right now, the median days on market for active as we stand right now is 1 day. So that takes out all the high-end stuff, the low-end stuff. 1 day, and the cheapest home you can buy at Lake Monticello today is $253,500. So where's my teachers going to go? Where's my cops going to go? Where's my fireman going to go? So I just want to
nurses.
Rescue. I just rescue. We're hiring, rescue folks. We had Jesse Rutherford sitting in here. I gave this presentation to his board beginning of this week, and he shocked me because their teachers in Nelson County are leaving Nelson County to go buy homes. They're going to Amelia County and towards Lynchburg and traveling an hour and a half to go to Nelson County to teach, which I've never heard before the other night. So I get it, but where are these firemen or rescue folks going to live? Because they're not going to make enough money to buy a $375,000 house.
Well, reality is, plenty of teachers, people who do those jobs in other municipalities do live in Fluvanna County. So it's
Yeah.
we don't have to be completely hypothetical about it. They're there, and
Because they're like working in
Yeah,
Charlottesville,
well,
making
right.
double the salary, right? And
not
then,
necessarily.
No.
We reviewed what others make EMS and fire when we went into that. It's not necessarily that much of a wage difference. My point is, people who are making similar incomes are already living in Fluvanna County successfully. I think it's 46.5, and I'm not saying this is good money for what they do, but I think it's 46.5 that that a new deputy comes on in Fluvanna County. It just seems like there's no time ago at all that it was something like 33. A new teacher is, I think, somewhere around 50.
but I get phone,
It's not great money, but there are people living there. There are people renting. There are people that, if the median is that means there are homes that are less. I certainly lived a substantial part of my life in homes that were less than the median and with a less than median income.
so
Yeah,
Lake Monticello, what's available ranges from 254 to 865.
You got a Fluvanna
So-
teacher watching now, Keith Brown. Keith
No,
Brown
no.
says, I'm stuck in my small home because of the cost to buy a newer home that's large enough for my family. Teacher salaries do not allow us to buy new homes. He's a Fluvanna teacher.
And 80% of the teachers are Fluvannian. That's a high percentage.
live in Fluvanna, yeah.
I hear him. I'm hearing what he's saying. So we say people want to be here, their families here, they were raised, like some of them, but they do want to progress. They do want to, they're in their first home, they want to get a larger home. I hear him.
Well, I get these phone calls because of what I do for a living.
Yes.
I'm a teacher in Fluvanna.
Right.
My husband or my wife or my partner is a nurse. The medium area income, which we have to use HUD sets, we don't set it, is $111,000 for our county. And at 80% AMI, with two folks working, they're just not going to be able to
Right.
afford it. So I have a little success that I want to talk about. And he's just sitting right here.
Yeah.
And if it's okay, my grandson and daughter came in to say hello.
Yes.
Harry, do you want to say hi? Hello. Come on.
Hey there.
Oh,
We're just hanging out talking.
We're just talking about you.
That
Harry,
nice smile.
Say hello to that. Say hello to
Are
that.
you 4?
you're 4?
How old are you?
4 years
Look at this.
old.
Look at this. You're
4?
not talking.
I
Why are you
have
not talking?
Yeah,
You're
I
not
have
talking.
a 4-year-old granddaughter.
You're
I'd like for you to meet her name.
Oh, no,
is-
stop it.
Yeah,
no
Skylar
fixing.
Grace.
No fixing. No being a
Already.
yenta.
You're on the show, big man. I see you.
Can you say hi, Harry?
Hi.
Hey, Harry.
What's
So-
your name?
Harry
Is it like
Tyson.
Pop Dad's name? Yeah, Harry Keith, right? Oh, you got child?
Great.
So I need you. We're gonna finish the conversation. I need you to give me a kiss on my cheek. Give me a kiss. Tell me you love
Oh,
me.
that's good.
Tell
He
me you love
won't
me.
talk, but he kisses Keith.
Wait, let's do it with the mustache.
Stay away from him.
Yeah.
Look at me. Look at me. Stay away from him.
We'll talk.
We'll talk. All right. I love you, sweetheart. Have a good day.
Say bye, Pop Dad.
Hi, Harry.
Goodbye. Bye-bye. Now you want to talk.
Outside.
Yes, Mina didn't get on camera.
Yep. You. How many do you have? Grandkids. 5.
That's awesome.
5.
Yeah.
I
Moselle.
have 4. 25, 21, 19, and 4.
Any great grandkids?
No.
So that's 3. That's my parents' 3rd great grandkid.
Moselle, you're going to love this. There's folks that are watching the show that said not only did you teach their children, but your daughter taught their children. That
Yes.
is so great.
My daughter.
I love this.
Yes. My daughter's taught families.
They said your daughter's taught our kids. Multiple people are putting that on
Yeah.
the feed right now. That's awesome.
Oh, isn't it though? Oh, it's
Legacy.
great.
That is legacy. That's exactly what that is.
Yes.
Keith, this is to your point. This is from a Fluco, Brittany Gray, who you help with your campaign.
Yep.
She said the majority of teachers in Fluvanna that own homes, they're 2-income households. Very rarely can a single income teacher afford it here in Fluvanna. And I would also imagine, and I'll throw it to you guys and get out of the way, that the inventory that's pinched in Charlottesville City and Albemarle County, we have no inventory, and it's extremely expensive. That's going to mean even more folks from Charlottesville and Albemarle looking at Fluvanna to buy real estate and homes because of how close in proximity Fluvanna is to Charlottesville and Albemarle.
Yes.
Certainly putting
Yes.
pressure on us.
Putting
Right.
pressure on Fluvanna, right?
Definitely.
I had a meeting yesterday
yeah.
with the Albemarle Police Foundation. And they wanted to sit down with me as the chairperson of the land trust and figure out what we can do to help their police officers. And that's the exact conversation that we had. There's police officers and nurses together. They can't live in Fluvanna. They can't live in Albemarle. They can't live in Charlottesville. And for them, it's difficult because they're supposed to live in Albemarle County, right? They need to be in the county that they're in. And we were trying to figure out a way that we can help those folks stay in these jurisdictions on that end of it. And, you know, I put a lot of my time and volunteer time and effort into this. And I just love to know, other than what we're doing, I'm trying to do, what possible solutions do we have out there for folks?
Yeah.
From your
Go ahead,
perspective.
Keith.
Yeah, love to hear it.
Did you just call me Keith?
Oh, God.
Good Lord, Moselle.
You okay, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You need a hug? Need a hug?
No, thanks. So, you know, I think when I was here last, we talked about a teacher you knew in the county whose husband had passed, and
Yeah.
she had been a teacher for quite some time, and so on, and what we do. And so I thought about that a good bit after. You know, there's some things that government isn't supposed to do. And if she has a decent amount of tenure, let's say she's making $60,000 a year, I don't know. And somebody that's making $60,000 a year, I'm not saying it's breaking the bank, but the average scenario where somebody's making $60,000 isn't, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of most Americans, that's not a scenario where government should be saying, what do we do? And, you know, can you and I, over a coffee or a beer, talk about what do we do? Well, that's much of what America does to help people in tough situations. In addition, and I don't know this person's scenario, you know, life insurance is very important. Most of us, I mean, I could barely afford much else, and I had life insurance because I knew that I could get hit by a truck. And
Yona keeps on raising it and feeding me more steak. I don't understand why.
yeah, and she and I talk more.
Okay,
and,
got it.
But it's. I don't know what their situation
So where
was, but
government,
that's why that's
so
why
where
we all have
government can
life
help.
insurance.
Let me tell you a situation. We're building the Colonial Circle over there next to Effort, and it is going to have, we don't call it affordable housing, we call it work.
So I use the word housing affordability. That's what I use,
affordability.
but it's 125
Right.
apartments.
And it's going to, it won't be ready probably in a couple of years.
No, ma'am, I can report it. They
going
got the
fast.
foundations in the ground.
They're moving. I have a rental cottage on my property. I had a young mother with two boys, and she rented my cottage. She was doing health care, and her client passed, so she ended up working in the women's prison. So I went to her and I said, young lady, you need your own home. You need to make an investment. I pushed her out of that rental, told her to go to Habitat. She went to Habitat because I knew Habitat was going to put her in the right place. They were going to get her credit score up. They were going to get her out of debt if she was in debt. They were going to save money for her to do her closing costs, and eventually she would have a home.
Mm-hmm.
And she moved into, and Fluvanna Louisa built her a home. I'm on that board. And I said, I've got a young lady. I need her to make some progress. So they built her a home. It's a small home. You know how Habitat homes are, but it's 3 bedrooms and nice. It's over
Starter
there in
home.
Houchin's place. So she went in there, and now she's a homeowner. She's paying her mortgage, and now she can get to a position. She want to get a larger home. That's starter. But when we put them in these apartments, we need to be building some way that they can leave these apartments and have their own home. That I don't know how we can do.
But is that the role of government, though? Just throwing for the sake of a talk show?
Not in my opinion.
No, I'm not talking about government. I'm talking about her own self-effort. I don't know whether she's getting any help. Is it government? Because Louise and Fluvanna built her a house affordable.
Sure.
Is that government?
Yes.
It's government, but that's what they are doing. Because Fluvanna, Louise, and Housing get their money from the state, they get grants, and that is what it's for. I don't know how you cut government out.
So
I'd rather see them do that than be.
So when we say government, I
Yeah.
just want to be clear. I am not in support of government solving the problem.
Right.
But it's part of the problem, and it needs to help solve
Yep.
the problem. 25% of new construction cost is pure local, federal, and state regulatory requirements. So on a $400,000 home, 100 grand, just because I'm simple for my brain, $100,000 of that is red tape. So one of the things government can do is turn red tape into green tape. We talk about this all the time.
Or get rid of the tape.
I would love that.
Yeah.
If they cut it in half,
Yeah.
that's 50 grand plus.
Yeah, government doesn't, to turn that into green tape, they have to get rid of something else that they're already spending it on, because not just going and filling the coffers, or they have to add more tape.
So acres at Lake Monticello, you guys know I developed that. By the time I put it on the contract, rezoned it, got a site plan.
Market changed.
Put a bulldozer, no, this is my first one. This was in 97. When I put a bulldozer on the job site, it took me 6 months. Colonial Circle, I helped that client to go through that. It took 6 years. You're a business guy. What does that cost? A ton of money.
Yeah.
On a market changes, as those at the table know, Yona and I got caught up in that, lost $17 million, everything we had, because it took so long. The market changed on it. I'm not saying the government should be responsible for that, without a doubt, right?
Yeah.
On that end of it. But, not that this is about me, but I want a
No, it's
national.
about you.
It's about me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want a national award, right? Because I work around the country trying to help this situation. So I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. So there's a thing called the Regional Housing Partnership, which we're going to give a presentation to your board soon. And it's built on what I call the 4 pillars of healthy housing system, or of housing affordability. It involves the government, for-profits, nonprofits, and the people who we serve. And all those 3 need to be at the table to make it work. And the reason I know it works, the Land Trust, which I chair, was able within about 12 to 14 months, by putting those relationships together, built 23 homes and put 23 affordable housing buyers in there, all cops, firemen, teachers, in Albemarle County.
They all were cops, firemen, or teachers?
Yeah, I don't have it with me, but they were all pretty much, they were averaging 65% AMI, area medium income. They were all service-related folks. There may be 1 or 2 that wasn't out of that, but for the most part, that's what it was, and it worked. So to your comment about the government, Albemarle County only did 2 things for us. They gave us $625,000, which I turned into $8 million. So our return on their investment was huge. And they cut their red tape down. They said, okay, we're going to help you facilitate this, instead of putting up roadblocks and all this stuff. And we were able to do that in about 12 to 14 months. And oh, by the way, so that you know, that $625,000 will give forever, because that $625,000 we retain ownership of the land will constantly give to other affordable housing buyers. So government is part of the problem. Government needs to help. It is not the solution.
So, well, one, we can't have these conversations without mentioning COVID happened. So all the world went crazy. Every financial aspect went crazy during COVID. So we can look at your charts and see what happened
Oh,
during
yeah.
COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And so, as we know, virtually every market has corrections, and there's going to be a correction. So we can't act as if this is just another step in time. At least
So
most
you're
things-
saying the housing market's going to go down?
Yes,
Is that what you're saying?
absolutely.
Yeah, I disagree.
I
with
mean,
You
that.
say it's going down?
It will go down. I mean, look at what happened to interest rates recently. Those things lead to, I mean, the market corrects itself. The stock market is a roller coaster. So we can't act as if this is not an anomaly. And, much of what we're talking about when I was a young man coming out of high school, and, now the median income in Fluvanna County is $20-some an hour if you break it down hourly. So I remember coming out of high school here, and then a guy was making $7 an hour at
That was big money.
it was then Virginia Power. I was like, wow. And then I heard that a supervisor was making 18 grand, and he's about to retire. He'd spent his whole life to get to 18 grand. I was thinking, good Lord, what do you do with that kind of money? And it was a long time ago, but we've more than tripled what that guy was making working as a lineman at Dominion, and we're making in Fluvanna County an average income that's more than triple minimum wage. And so there's always been so much of this that's true. And certain people make decisions in their life of what their career is going to be and what they choose as their priorities. And God bless people who make all different decisions. And, be it on Long Island or Fluvanna or Los Angeles, there's firefighters, teachers, carpenters making or living in, 3-bedroom homes that
With 5
are
kids.
1,300 square feet. and they have
900,
been-
950 square feet, 5 kids. Been there, done that.
Yeah, that's what you were raised in. You're
Been there,
saying
been-
so-called 1,000 square feet.
Been there, done that.
5 kids.
Our dad was working 3 jobs. Mom was working on the side.
Yeah.
I got sent to go work out in high school to make money for the family. I get all that.
But I know people who came out of high school and went into Dominion, Vepco plant, and right now a lot of them are very well off because they took advantage of the investment that Dominion offered them. And they were probably making $7 and some throwing coal in the
Yeah.
thing, but a lot of them took advantage of investing, and they're doing very well
Amen.
today.
I could, and you absolutely know I love you with all my heart and soul. You could not be more wrong about prices going backwards on houses.
We've discussed this on here before.
You guys agree to disagree on
We're
this
going to
topic.
agree to
Yeah.
disagree. We're going to agree to disagree on that.
We do have some folks putting in the feed that the inventory is so tight that they don't see the prices going down. But to Chris's point, we've seen corrections in every market. And the housing market, to Chris's point, has been on fire for a very long period of time.
I've got a 21-year running sheet for our county,
Yeah.
right? That is the year-over-year average is 5.5% increase. It includes a time of great unpleasantness, which I know all too well. You know all too
Yeah.
well. You helped me through it, emotionally through it. We weren't running together. I don't know what I would have done. So I love you for it.
Back at you.
But it's going to, if you hang on long enough, it'll appreciate over time.
But if we get back to the budget,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, Moselle. Sorry, Madam Chairperson, excuse me.
we have a budget, we meet every Wednesday. So we will be meeting at 5:30 on the 22nd in the Morris Room. And
How long do those meetings take?
do we have a time limit? I don't know what the time limit is.
The budget part is typically somewhere around an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on if we have to go to closed
Right,
session. Just like
yeah.
with the schools, that was a big meaty subject, $22 million or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So even that, that was 5 to something like 6:45 or so. And it just depends on how many
Yeah.
stakeholders you have in front of you.
Yeah.
Can people
And-
join via Zoom for your meetings?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
And the heartbreaking thing is trying to decide what to give the school, and then they have to go back and cut. And cut
Virginia is
out
a
their
unique
things.
state because it has two separate bodies. Some, like you
Yes.
mentioned, Long Island, they're all one. They're one tax rate. They have actually. I take that back to two separate scenarios. There's a tax for school and there's a tax for property.
I'd like to see that. Then people, I'll
Would
bet the
understand.
average citizen doesn't know
No.
that the largest, and this isn't good, bad, or indifferent.
It's fact.
The average citizen, I'll bet you, doesn't know that the largest line item in the budget is schools.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I asked you the question, because I wanted to get it out there.
I
Yeah.
think
That-
they
that's
do.
the-
I know. I bet you they don't.
No,
I bet you
they
they don't.
don't.
The average citizen.
Oh, what is the average citizen?
So I agree 1,000%. I think we should have two separate taxes, two separate rates. You do have two separate boards,
I think
right?
it's a
You know-
brilliant idea right there.
Right, but if, what states have that?
Well, I know New
And
York
how
does,
do- How
'cause-
do they, how does
Because
that
that's
work?
what I know Connecticut does.
And
I know.
I recently heard that
But-
Georgia does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not unprecedented.
Yeah,
But
it's
we
a
need
lot
to,
of
I
them,
think we
yeah.
need to do some research and find out where the boogie bird, because I'm not disagreeing, but I would like to see how that works. and
But we are a
is it
Dillon
working?
rule
Yeah, I
state.
was gonna say, I don't
So,
think
so.
so
Oh, yeah.
that is going to be very difficult. Most of these states that we're listing off are home rule states, right? So a Dillon rule, it's going to have to come from the legislature down.
From the
down
delegates.
to you guys.
Yeah, comments coming in fast and furious. You got Eddie. Eddie's given a comment here. As the chief of Lake Monticello Rescue Squad, it is fantastic to have a board that is willing to sit down and listen. And this board cares,
There you
and
go.
they're willing to listen. That's
Amen.
the
Thank
rescue
you.
squad right there.
Thank
Dusty
you.
Christian giving them props. Kevin Hensley giving you props. 3 media outlets watching you guys on the show right now. The mayor of McIntyre, Bill McChesney, said he even worked with, is Jerome your husband?
Yes,
Oh,
He said
wow.
he knew Jerome and helped Jerome with the kitchen remodel at the historic New Fork Baptist Church.
yes.
So multiple folks know know your family very, very well. Woody Fincham, who's a Lake Monticello resident and an appraiser, he says $60,000 a year is not much money for this area if you have kids and normal expenses. And I'm inclined
I
to
would
agree
agree.
there as a father and a husband of two.
It's not
two
it's not the
kids.
cheapest area to live in. This is a wealthy area.
But you travel the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it not? Where is this not a problem? I mean, you've got
I don't-
businesses all over the country. Where is lack of affordable housing or the lack of inventory? And we are nationwide about 5 million units short.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm kind of going back, I think we're not in. The prices are not going to come back. It's just supply and demand, right? It's just simple. The buyer pool is 20 feet deep, and the inventory pool is the kiddie pool.
Let me ask you, how can, it's a stretch to draw lines between it, but how can you not have trucks that were bought 2 years ago that are suddenly worth more
Oh my God.
new? I mean, worth more
Or
used than they were when
used.
they're new.
What happened there?
You couldn't get a camper.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a boat.
Yeah.
And I looked at a boat last February. It was a third more than it was 10 months before that. And then you had to place your order. You waited a year before it went on assembly line, meaning you didn't even get it in a year. How can you have the market where you have those realities? You couldn't get a washer and dryer whether you went to Lowe's or Home Depot because they just weren't available. How can those things
What
be
is the-
true, but housing is insulated from it?
So here's my short answer to that. What do those things do year over year? What do you do on your taxes with trucks and stuff like that every year? It's a D word. You depreciate them.
Sorry, I'm noticing somebody's going in.
Depreciate. You
yeah.
depreciate. Housing appreciates. And that's the difference. Housing is always appreciated. You also had these ups and downs, right? It depends on where you hit it in the cycle. But the little synopsis that you just talked about was unprecedented, right?
Right.
Right?
It is all unprecedented.
It is all unprecedented. But typically, you can go run 20, 30, 72 years, whatever it is. On big picture, housing always appreciates, right? You know,
And go back again, what'd you say?
$17 million.
What depreciates? What depreciates?
Vehicles depreciate.
And what happened? Vehicles appreciated.
And then now they back down again.
Right, so it tells you that there's an anomaly in the market. They typically depreciate and suddenly they're going up in value.
But you're
just like
comparing,
the house.
you're comparing a car to a house.
I'm comparing the economy.
Yeah, okay.
And I'd like to get back
As
to
Jerry
the
would say, we're
budget.
going to agree to disagree.
agree
Back
to
to the
disagree.
budget.
We have a lot of Fluvanians, and I'm going to get back to the
Uh-oh.
budget. When you look at the school budget, you look at the fact that, and it's not only Fluvana, but Fluvana is who I represent. We can't find psychologists, counselors. People are not going into teaching. Our children have the greatest need right now. I'm a humanist, and people is what I look at, and I don't look at, well, how much it's going to cost or whatever it is. I began with, here are people who one of these days, these students may be in the nursing home taking care of me, or maybe my doctor, or whatever it is. We're talking about human beings and kids who are coming through our system. I think we need to give them the best. Now, I'm not saying you got to go out, we got to fund 2.6 budget. I'm not saying that. But we need to realize how important education is for Fluvanna County. Our people get an education, they go off to college, and a lot of them don't come back to Fluvanna County to serve their community because, for number one, we don't pay enough, or they don't have anywhere to live. But education is our biggest expense, but in my eyesight, it is the most important thing along with rescue. When we talk about what do we do as supervisors, it's education, human services, safety. Those are the things, and welfare of our community. That's what we are looking at. And at the time I've been on the board, years ago, when Jerome, they had to borrow money in order to get what they needed.
What year was that?
He was on there in 80, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, he was on up to 96 when he got off. But they used to stay and work with budget like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. We don't have to do that. We haven't done that.
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
more resources now. So the budget is real important. And I know that Fluvanna County, and I pay taxes too. And I think we look out for the taxpayers.
Yeah.
And we really work at it.
Ned
And
Galloway
sometimes
sat
it
in
hurts,
this.
and some people can't pay their taxes, and our treasurer will have a system to help them pay a little bit at a time.
So Ned Galloway, Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, I think at the time he was the chairperson on that, sat here, and I've said it numerous times. If you really want to know how somebody's going to vote in the rest of the year, watch them during budget season. Budget season is the most important time of the year for boards and councils. You should follow Neil Williamson and Sean Tubbs. They're doing great work on that stuff. But if you can attend and watch these meetings, and you will tell how your county is going to run from that point forward, because the decisions that your board makes on how to allocate money is going to pretty much telegraph how you guys are going to run.
I see that, while I'd also say it could be very different. So I always say about local government, I served 1 year, 2011, on the Board of Supervisors. We redistricted. It was my seat that went away. And as soon as I was off that seat, I kind of coined a saying, we'll never vote on abortion in Fluvanna. And my point was, it's not so much, most of the year it's not so much Democrat or Republican. Most of what you're dealing with is, you can go to the Democratic Party meeting or the Republican Party meeting. You can get just as many people who say, I'm concerned about how much residential growth we're having, or whatever, on the other side of that, whatever. And so my point is, yes, that's true. Budget time is a little, maybe sometimes you can see a fiscal mentality come out a little more. The rest of the year is really not very conservative or liberal, I'd say.
I've said this more than once. I've always thought local politics should be devoid of party. I think, because you guys really don't function that way. And oh, by the way, all politics is local.
Yeah.
Local politics is what matters, why we talk about it so much. At least I do. I talk about it so much on that. And, one of the things I'm passionate about what I do for a living and do this 3 times a week with Jerry across the sea from me, because we get to help somebody with one of the 3 essentials that is required for a trip around the earth: food, clothing, and shelter, right? You need one of those. You need to have all those 3 things to really have a successful trip around the earth. So, for the sake of a talk show, I'm kind of pushing a little bit on that a little bit, but I honestly...
Trip around the sun.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
keeping me straight.
Yeah.
And he knew it too.
Yeah, I think we all do it. I was like, what is he
Ramble.
saying here? What is he saying?
Years ago, when the school
easy.
budget was up, parents and the community came out to talk to us. They came to listen. Of course, now some of them listen on Zoom and et cetera, but they would come and make comment. I don't remember in the last few years that we have had people to come forward and help us make those decisions and kind of understand the challenge that we have. And I would love to see more people coming out.
And what time is your
online.
typical meetings that you do
Now,
that?
this one is 5:30 in the Morris Room.
Yeah, so...
I know, 7 o'clock is, do we talk about it at 7?
We typically
Usually
do
it's
it
5
early, and then we go
early.
to closed session and then deal with local matters such
Right,
as developments.
you're
or
right,
whatever
maybe
at
we
7.
need to do it
So the
at a
average
time.
parent
They're
would-
not, they got to
They're
come
trying to
home, get dinner, get the
the-
kids
you know,
to
the
bed.
two-
But it's
Yeah.
also hard because, for example, Wednesday night, a very big item for a community in Fluvanna was a commercial, an industrial business coming in, and those people also, after 7 o'clock, want to be there to have a voice to
Sure.
listen to it of what's going on Zoom. I'm not sure that we can find it. And, that section of the meeting went to 12:15, 12:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
So,
And we used to have strong PTOs, and the PTO presidents would come. I remember sitting in the courthouse, and PTO presidents would come forward to support the budget and represent families.
Well, I understand very well the amount of time and energy it takes it takes board members to do this. So on a personal level, I just want to say thank you as a Flavanian with a funny accent. I want to say thank you because I know how much time and energy it takes to represent us. And
well, thank you, and genuinely thank you for electing me, because I love it. I mean, it has some...
oh, you
not
think I
everything's-
voted for you, huh?
No, that was to the microphone. Yeah.
So for those that know, he's my my representative. You're in my district.
Chris, you have the opportunity to stay on the board until you're my age.
I don't know if I'll stay on it till 2026. I enjoy it, I love it.
I know you do.
As you do. It's community service, and you get to affect. What I love about it is,
But what
Grant Tate, a
Yeah.
friend of
Yeah, Grant.
3 of us, he taught me early on that there's a difference between management and leadership.
Yes.
And that has stuck with me
Right.
for many years. And I'm a visionary by nature. And, I'm always thinking out here. It's part of ADHD, I think. But so I love being able to affect what we look like, what we feel like 10 years out or 20.
So, Chris, the first time you were on was kind of just, 1 year, didn't really get a chance to get a lot of feet up underneath you. You're into your second year term of your first term. What have you learned now that you did not know when you started? So, in other words, what is any thinking's changed? Is this something that you walked in on the first day thinking, okay, this is the way I wanted to approach the subject, it doesn't matter what it is? Has that changed a little bit? How has this affected you?
I'd say it's less a big bite item than it is small bites. An example, I made a comment Wednesday night about, I wouldn't have voted for rezoning X. And then shortly after, it occurred to me that the other 4 people sitting beside me voted for X before I was on the board. And I thought, well, I should have not only phrased that differently, but at the same time, I wasn't there. I didn't have coming in
Is
front
that
of me.
when you apologize?
And it's when you accept it. Yeah. And,
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at, right? You know, has being on the board for the last year and some odd months affected the way you're approaching things, or?
yes. In Moselle, just to give another great example of her leadership, in the first meeting, Moselle said, Chris, I'm on CPMT, Community Policy Management Team. And you know that fits so much into my background and so on. And she knows that years ago I was on that committee. And although she wanted to stay on it, Moselle, gave the olive branch or something and said, hey, but if you'd like to, because you know the first meeting's when you assign which committees and so on. She said, but if you'd like to have it, then I'll step down. And as God is my witness, as small of a thing as that seems like, that was monumental to me. And it was a tone setter. So even that first meeting, you know, I started learning.
Thank you for sharing, because I was trying to get you to say that to get out and talk about that. And so, you know, your mindset has maybe changed a little bit from day one, and you're a very inclusive guy anyway. I know you well enough to say that. But the fact that you said that publicly is speaks to your character.
And I appreciate that he's a Gen Y.
X, no, he's an X. He's an X.
Already, I forget.
Okay, I would go
Yeah.
back home and study that.
You're going to go home and get a tattoo in the back of your head with a big X.
Appreciate the fact that he digs, he vets things. And
Yeah, she recently told me that's
Yeah.
my criticism.
Criticism?
We need to vet this.
yeah,
So-
so that's
Should a supervisor vote their district or vote their
great
county?
Yes.
All the above? Is the
you mean,
supervisor-
what are they considering when they vote?
Is a supervisor more responsible to voters in their respective districts or voters in the county in totality?
I tried to, and it ended up, I heard the other night when we voted again on this industrial business that said, the person said they didn't get a response from the board, whether it's in my district or somebody else's. I tend to try to
Yes,
communicate
county.
and again, yesterday, the lunch that I had was with somebody who's not in my district. It's
I don't
county.
have- it's
You know,
county.
here's a good example. I was at a planning-oriented thing last night in the county, and our planning director was showing how traffic comes in on 619 Slaughter's-Ford Road into Route 53 in the morning and then goes back to that in the evening, and it's going to end up needing probably a roundabout. Well, that's over near Lake Monticello. Most people don't realize that in Fork Union, a mass of that traffic is coming from the Fork Union area, that far corner of the county, with this being right in the center, because it's quicker
Yes.
to take the back roads, get to 53 and go to work in Charlottesville than it is 15 to 64. The reason I say that is that it's all linked. It's all one.
That roundabout puts 16,000 cars a day through.
Yeah.
That roundabout.
one?
You're
The
saying
one-
up at Colonial.
Of a Colonial
Colonial,
Circle, all the way up to
yeah.
Baptist, on the intersection of 618 and 53.
And so if you have development in Fork Union, good, bad, or indifferent, it's going to affect people driving to work from Lake Monticello in the
Right.
morning.
Yeah.
Or the people that can't afford to live in Charlottesville come out to Lake Monticello, that's also going to increase that.
Or the people that live in Keswick, like yours truly, seeing all that traffic coming down right in front of my neighborhood.
From our county.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would argue that most of the traffic on my neck of the woods of Albemarle County, which is right next to y'all's county, is Fluvannians coming into town.
And it's going to be more.
There's
Oh,
going to be
yes.
more, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm trying to affect that.
So
Are you trying to diminish it, the traffic?
Yes. Well, you can never diminish it. I'm trying to diminish the growth of it.
Manage the growth strategically.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Moselle, 16 years on the board, from day one to now. What big aha moments have you had on the board that you can impart on our friend, Mr. Fairchild?
Good, aha, or bad?
How about both?
Yes.
Both.
Yeah.
Great question. Both.
Oh, my goodness. I think I've had more good things to happen. I don't ever remember a time when I regret or begrudge having to go to the meeting. because
Good for
I
you.
like the people I serve with. I had a couple of years when some of our supervisors decided to cut the school $1.2 million. That was not a good time. But I became a couple of those board members that did that. One of them just ended up a very good friend of mine because we talked to each other. And he apologized that he went in that direction, got caught up. And that was a real troubling time. But other than that, I have learned a lot. It has made me read more. It has made me broaden my interests, get more information, get a little bit more in technology. I'm not where I should be, but right now it's too late to gain it. And you know, it has been good. I wouldn't be on here for 16 years if it wasn't. But I know that it is my time that I need to leave. I need to
So
have
you're saying you're not
someone
running?
younger. But I haven't made an official announcement. I have not yet.
Okay.
But someone younger than I am need to be with some different energy, bringing in some different ideas. Need to sit there.
So there's
I don't
one
need to be
word
there.
that you both use repetitively. Do you know what that word is? In both of your responses out there's one word that you repetitively used, and I was counting it.
Yeah.
You can't count anyway. Serve,
Oh, yeah.
right? So this is not a job. This is not whatever you get paid. It's service. It's about giving back to others. And oh, by the way, when you talk to all the other elected officials, regardless of their stripes, you know, what party they are, what position they are, they all use that one word. It's about service and about
Absolutely.
giving back to others.
You know,
So,
I was in a group a few nights ago. One of the things I said, and let's just say some people had made comments at or toward board members that were less than what they should be. And respectfully to some of them, I said, you know what? I'm a volunteer too. I'm here because I care. The money that I make from doing this it doesn't go to me. I'll just say that by my choice. And so I'm here serving too. So unless I would go to a baseball coach, a youth baseball coach, and say, hey, I'm telling you, here's what I want. Or you better change this. Or walk into a firehouse and say, I don't like it like this. Next time I come back, I need it to be different. Who the heck is going to listen to me? And so service it's a caring thing that has a lot of commitment. And I'm not looking for a pat on the back to it. I'm just saying there's a lot of different type of people serving their community.
so is civility back in the discussion, or is everybody back in their corners still? Are we able to have a civil conversation of opposing views on it and actually walk out and hug each other and go have a beer?
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Oh, yes.
And I think the majority,
Me too.
even at the national level, is that.
It's just the small minority of folks that get angry and bitter. They're just loud and vocal,
And they-
that's not the majority.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, and that's why what we do here in this long format, I think, is so important. You know,
Oh, I'm sorry.
if you look at whatever the media thing you want to watch, and to me it's not media, it's entertainment on it, that's where the divisiveness is. It's really, I do not see it at the
Yes.
local level.
When John Warner, the year he was retiring, I was blessed to be with a group, sitting with him up on Capitol Hill just for a short session, and somebody asked, what's the biggest thing that has changed since you began? And he said, when we'd get out of session, we'd all go to one of the local bars, we'd have drinks, we'd argue, we'd pat each other on the back, we'd talk about what's up with your daughter, and we'd wake up the next morning going, boy, we shouldn't do that again tonight, and then they'd do it again tonight. And he said he
Sounds
regretted that is gone, that doesn't exist.
At the
for
federal level.
Yeah.
But I think at the local level, that's not the case.
There's a board member that If the bar's still open when it's over, he had a bite of
And he may have sat here with you.
Tony Bryant. Tony Bryant. We love you, Tony. We love you, Tony.
And Mosell's commented that she wished there was a bar on that side of Fork Union so we could do it at the same time.
Yeah,
Well, I bet you can get some shine in that neck of the county.
yes.
I wouldn't know where.
Yeah, well, that would be an outright lie, sir. I've known you for 30-something years. That's the first lie you ever told me.
It's a diversion.
That's a diversion. So we're at over 11:30. I would just personally want to say thank you, unless we've got some questions from the
Multiple
feed.
people are saying, Chelsea, Christine, we appreciate you both. You guys mean the world to the county. We're so grateful for you here in Fluvanna. I mean, multiple
Wonderful.
comments like
Thank
this
you.
on the feed from folks. Just giving you guys some love. Heather Hatfield, Marty Lynn, Kevin Hensley, Arlene Viviani.
Love 'em all.
All giving you props on the show. How about, Moselle, we'll start with you. How about some closing thoughts for all the Flucos watching the program right now? Anywhere you want to go.
Anywhere, huh? Well, Flucos, right now we're at a very important time for the counties with the budget. And I just wanted to let you know that we're going to do our homework and we're going to do our best to make this budget work so that it's not a burden, a great burden to the citizens of this county. Thank you all for listening in and for your kind comments. I love Fluvanna County and I love what I do, so thank you.
You can tell. We can tell that you love it. Absolutely. Bobby Hensley, giving you guys some props and some love. Chris Fairchild, show is yours, sir.
First thing I'm going to say, you'll remember that I didn't talk this nice to Tony, so I'm not being fake about it. It's not just niceties. I have had the chance to serve with a true matriarch of Fluvanna County. And the experience and background, Moselle and I have talked about a lot of stuff from present to what Fluvanna was like 40 years ago, 40, 50 years ago. And, that will be a part of whether I'm on the board for 4 years or 16 years. That will be a part of me. And so that's been a blessing. To the rest of Fluvanna, it also occurs to me sitting here with Moselle that although we're a generation apart, that we equally love Fluvanna County, genuinely love Fluvanna County, like in a
Amen.
passionate way.
Yes.
And, our perspectives are sometimes different, but boy, if that's what you have is a common mentality and a common approach,
That's a great foundation.
it's
So
a
much
great foundation.
Yeah.
And it also, you don't want everybody on a board that thinks the same way.
No.
Because if you do,
It's kind of like a marriage, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
It'd be
it
boring.
is.
Right.
Well, I mean, people aren't going to get served on
Yeah.
both sides. So, just blessed to be a part.
Harry, your father is watching. He
Ah.
says, hi, baby boy. He puts it in the feed. He's giving you some props. That's your daddy.
So,
Can you say hi to your daddy?
Hi, Daddy.
As a dad of a 4-year-old, you just made your father's day. That made my day. You just made your dad's
Big
day.
green eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank
I'm
you
going to let
all.
him do my wrap up.
Probably do it better.
They're going to do it better? You want to say thank you, everybody? Say
Thank you, everybody.
Oh,
Thank you, buddy.
Adorable.
Great.
Love you
Love
guys
this
both.
show.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
serving our county. It meant the world to me to have you guys here. We bust each other's chops, but I have absolutely nothing but love for you, Moselle, as you
That's
know.
the highlight of my career, right?
But thank you for serving us. Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking the time out to do this and serving us.
Mandy Hoy, Flucos appreciate this board. So many people giving you guys love. For the folks that are asking in Fluvanna where they can watch the interview in totality, go to realtalkwithkeithsmith.com and you can find the interview from start to finish. I see a couple of the media outlets asking this question as well. We'll archive the show on realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. For Moselle Booker, Chris Fairchild, and Keith Smith,
And Harry,
my name is Jerry Miller, and Harry Tyson.
Harry.
Absolutely. Harry Tyson Jr., is that what it is?
Harry Keith.
Harry T?
Keith.
All right.
Keith.
Harry Keith.
Harry Keith.
Tyson. I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for watching the program. The I Love Seville show is up in about 50 minutes. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Great work, guys.
He's warming up a little bit.
I was a Fluco as well.
Oh,
Oh,
I remember.
I know
I
it.
graduated, so was my sister.
What year did you
I was
graduate?
2004.
Oh,
So you
okay.
and Hunter were saying.